Peace and blessings to everyone. Much love and respect. If you can do me the favor and share, like the page. Real quick, I need to see if anyone hears so we can find out if the sound is right. Do me the favor and let me know if the sound, if you can hear me. Much love and respect. If you can do that, put a one in the chat. If you can do that for me, please. One in the chat if you can hear me. For those who are just chiming in, put a one in the chat. One in the chat to say you hear me. Moderators, let me know if you can hear me. Thank you. One in the chat. Good morning, ladies. How y'all doing?
Good morning.
Good. We're good morning. We're
No doubt.
good.
No doubt. Today we have young ladies here who is basically trying to let you know what happened, why some of them was expelled, why some of them have issues or complaints or concerns with the Jersey City Public School. All right, so that's why we're here this morning. Okay, thank you, Barbara Jenkins, for chiming in, letting us know that you can hear. She put like eight ones. Eight ones. What's good with you, Barbara Jenkins? Much love. Please do me a favor, share the page, all right? First, we're going to just get to know who we're talking to right now. Cheryl, could you please give me a background of yourself? Who are you, and what was your position at the union or the Jersey City Public School Union?
Okay. I was the VP of Local 2262, which is under ASME's banner. I was elected October 2023. But before that time, I had been advocating, for employees. Actually, when I was a per diem, I started noticing, things that weren't fair. And I always spoke up then. A lot of other per diems were afraid to speak up because they thought that they wouldn't get full time positions. It mattered to me whether I got a full time position, but justice matters more to me. Going up against injustices mattered more to me. Actually, I had to fight for my position to become a full timer. I had to speak at a board meeting. I spoke at a board meeting in June of 2012, and by August, I was told I had the job, as a full timer. And in about, I think it was 2021, I noticed that they were hiring full timers, but none of them were per diems. They were hiring them off the street, well, external. I don't want to say off the street,
Got
but
it.
externally, and that bothered me because there were so many per diems that had been per diems for a long time as I was. And then I started speaking on, they were doing on Zoom because they couldn't come in person. And then when the meeting started happening in person, I was at the meeting just about every month, and I spoke at the caucuses every month. So I had always been advocating. Employees called me when they had issues to do emails. They like me to do emails for some reason,
Right.
or to address their issues. So, I guess they thought I would be a good person in a leadership role,
No
and
doubt. Are you
and
from
I ran and I won.
From Jersey City originally?
Yes, I am. I'm from Jersey
Okay.
City originally.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Next, a little background on you, Keisha.
Good morning. My name is actually Lakeisha Jenkins, and I was duly elected as the president for Local 2262. And these are employees with the Jersey City Public School District, which consists of security guards, which I am, food service, custodial, tradesmen, and groundskeepers, things of that nature. All the people, like the operations of the school.
Okay, got it, got it. Okay, Miss Elizabeth, a little background on yourself.
Good morning, everyone. I'm a Jersey City lifelong resident and citizen, and I've been doing community activism for since my 20s, and I'm now in my 60s. But here in the Jersey City School District, I came to work with them in 2007. I came in as a parent advocate, speaking on issues that affected our children's education. And once I was hired, I went through some politics, for lack of a better understanding. I was laid off for a time, brought back as a per diem. The community came out and questioned why hadn't I been, put back in my full-time position. So in 2015, they put me back in my full-time position. But a lot of drama has been coming with that, to the point where I ended up having to do a lawsuit against the district for retaliation, abuse, and other things. And I'm just like Cheryl, I'm always standing up against injustice. I support these women fully in their right to wear their titles and act within their titles. And I support anybody that wants to stand up against injustice. And it's costing me. It's costing me a lot, but that's
Wow. Okay. Hey Keisha, what did it mean to you personally? Because from what I'm understanding, you are the first black vice president of the union.
President.
President, right? I meant president, right? Okay. What does that mean to you? And to be the first black woman president of the local 2262.
It meant a lot because, like Cheryl said and Miss Perry said, they advocates. I didn't start advocating for people until I got a reprimand letter during COVID. So, when I spoke to Cheryl, she was like, "Oh, do you mind speaking at a board meeting?" I said, "Sure, I don't care." When they spoke about it, but it means a lot because we have a lot of people in our local that's not very vocal, right? And I sat on the executive board prior to becoming the president, and I learned a lot of things and I saw a lot of things, and I'm like, oh, I don't like this. You 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 are in a union for union protection, not to be harmed in any type of way, not harmed physically, but financially in that matter. um so when I saw the things that I was seeing and I started educating myself, reading up on Ask Me, the union itself, and finding out the do's and don'ts of things, I started voicing it to the membership because I'm not going to sit at a table with people that's lying and I'm sitting right there and I'm aware of it, and I'm like, oh no, this something has to change. So I'm like, Cheryl, you want to run? You want to run? She was like, oh, I don't know. I said, come on, we got to do this because we got to help the people. And we ran and I got my team together, which is all good people. And everybody saw that they want to change and they voted for us.
So that means that Cheryl was the first vice president then.
She was the first, yeah, woman vice president because
Woman vice
prior to us,
president.
it was
Gotcha.
always
That's what I
men
meant.
running this
Right, right.
union.
All right, that's
Always.
what I meant. So what was that like for you, Cheryl, being the first black woman vice president?
It felt like a huge accomplishment, but I knew that I won because the people really believed that I cared about their issues. Because when people would explain to me how they felt about me speaking, they always said they knew I was passionate. That's how Some people describe me as militant, but most did describe me as passionate. And I know that I won because the people wanted change. And that is exactly what I wanted to do. So that is why I was happy because I said, well, now I can hold the district accountable. Now I can hold them accountable when they don't follow this contract to the letter. So that was my thing, to hold them accountable. And I know I wouldn't be afraid to hold them, accountable. So it was it was a great accomplishment for me. Now when Keisha did come to me with the idea, I was reluctant because I said, well, this union, our affiliates are dirty. I knew I felt they were dirty. That's what I'm going to say. And I said, because I had already been reaching out to them for issues, I had started reaching out to them in 2012, 2013, after I had became a full timer, because I noticed people didn't want to do grievances. And I said, why not? They said, because it's not going to go anywhere. I said, but no, we paying for a service, so we're going to make them work. So I aggravated and I harassed them, and it really didn't work. So I said, "Ooh, this woman was right when she said that." But then that still didn't stop me from reaching out to regional, reaching out to Washington. So I had been reaching out to them for years. I had always reached out to top officials in Jersey City Public Schools, so much to where I got the reputation that she always got something to say. You know, she's been saying things.
Right.
Yeah, she had been saying things for years. That was the reputation. So I said, Keisha, I said, I said, okay, I'm gonna run if for nothing else to prove that they dirty from the top down. Now I didn't know how intense it would get. I didn't know that they would literally, orchestrate a plan to chop my head off,
Wow.
because I know it was all orchestrated. I
Right.
know it was all orchestrated. But it was a great feeling. It saddens me that they was able to just come in and take it away, because what they did was they usurped the people's vote. Like what they did to me was bad enough, but it wasn't really about me. It was about the people. Because now I can't fight, the way I want to. I can't go up against the district the way I want to and hold them accountable to the people. Because before we got in and we went to board meetings, they would always say, contact the union, contact the union. Once me and Keisha got in our seats, they told people, don't contact the union. What are you contacting the union for?
Wow.
Yup, that is so it flipped,
That's
and
deep.
that's they were telling right. That's what they were telling people. Don't contact your union. But
Wow.
when I was before I became a union rep, and when they said contact your union, I said, what type of employer tells an employee to contact their union? I said, nah, something not right about this. They usually don't want the union to get involved. And
Right.
I said, no. I said, it's some collusion going on. It's dirty.
Hey, Elizabeth, what was your situation? I know you're not in the union, correct?
I'm not in 2262, but I
Got it.
am in the district union. They call the ESA, Education Secretaries Association.
Right.
That union is a branch of the teachers union, the NJEA.
Got it.
And my situation was simply that when the district would do stuff that was questionable, then some of us would go to the board meeting, myself included, and ask those questions. And if you ask questions, first off, when you go to the board meetings, you speak at the podium and ask questions, but nobody answers the questions. So chances are nothing's being resolved.
So
But
when you ask a question, you mean they don't even like respond to it, or
no, they don't respond to it. And
they? Wow.
generally, the superintendent's favorite statement is personnel issues cannot be addressed in public. So whatever they do when they go behind closed doors, the issues still don't get addressed.
It don't
But
even get addressed. Wow.
they started punishing and penalizing people for asking questions, and that was unusual to me,
And
having been.
what was the penalties that you seen? When questions was asked of certain people, what were the penalties? What were they?
Well, I'll give you my story. April of 2023, that board meeting in April, the superintendent and the lawyer of the district called me upstairs in May for that particular board meeting in April of 2023. They said to me that we're placing you under investigation. I was like, okay, in reference to what? And they said, for what you said at the public board meeting. Now, in my head, I know the First Amendment right says freedom of speech. So I'm like, what did I say? Maybe it can be addressed here. They said, no, it cannot. We have to put you under investigation. So what putting me under investigation equaled was taking me out of my office, working with the after school program. I was pretty much the main worker in that department. They took me out of there, put me in another department, isolated me from the floor that I was used to working on and all of that staff, put me in another situation altogether, and then just left me there. Like, duh. So, no investigation, no results of so-called investigation. And to this day, that was in 2023, to this day, there has been no outcome from that. But I was further demoted along the way. So it's straight retaliation. But those are the type of things they do to people who speak out. And some of the I want to just point this out. Some of the things we speak out on, we know that there are practices that go on, like the practice of the so-called interview.
Right.
You get interviewed for a job and they want a particular person to have that job, then you're just told that you failed the interview. You can't have evidence about it. You can't ask questions about it.
You
You
can't
just failed the
why,
interview.
what happened, what was wow, that's deep. That's
And
deep.
different things like that.
No doubt. All right. So Keisha,
Yeah.
what made you want to, speak up? What was the very thing that said, you know what? They playing in my face. I got to speak up about this.
Well, actually, it was the money issue, right? When Cheryl and I used to sit up before she even got on the team in the wee hours of the morning, and one day I was going over our contract, the MOA for. I was going over the contract book or something, one of the previous contracts, and I noticed that the MOA said we are supposed to have gotten a certain percentage. So when I did the math on these salaries, it wasn't the percentage that was on the paper. So I questioned it. I started speaking out like, "Hey, our salaries have been wrong since 2014." Um,
At this time, what year was that?
it was 20. When did I win this
You
election?
said since
2022, I think.
oh, okay.
It was, no, when we started speaking up, it was because when we won the election, 2021 or something like that, or
Okay.
2022.
Oh, okay.
I
So
started speaking up about the salaries being wrong. Yeah, it was 2022 because remember I spoke to Miss the former BA.
so damn near eight
And
years.
right, and I noticed that the salaries, the percentage wasn't what we were supposed to have gotten. So I questioned it, and I continued to question it, but it wasn't like anybody was giving me any answers.
And
And then when
you were questioning it at meetings as well?
at board meetings, yes, and I questioned it
And
at a
these
union
board
meeting,
meetings were recorded?
yes.
Yes.
Hmm.
Wow.
I
Okay.
also questioned it at union meetings to the then president, who I beat out, and he looked and he just didn't address it. So it just was like this union is like financially taking advantage of us. They causing us a financial hardship, and this can't continue to happen because when to work for the district, it's a good job. I'm not going to say that it's not. It's the treatment that you have to endure, and when you calculate your dollars and cents, like they don't like to pay people.
Right.
There's people that don't get paid overtime on time and things of that nature. So they're constantly causing us a financial hardship. And that's when I was like, enough of this is enough. How much of this are we supposed to take? You can't keep enduring somebody paying you when they feel like it and handling you how you want. And it even gets to the point sometimes where people speak up, then they get cut from overtime, you know, and that's really how you make your money working over here when you work overtime.
Right.
Because if you get a regular check, yeah, yeah, okay.
That part.
Because that's not, I mean, I'm just saying, you get a regular check, it's like, okay, what I'm supposed to do with this?
Right.
Although it's money, but you still like scraping the bottom of your behind on the ground.
Were they ever promising you that extra money when you realized the math wasn't mathing?
No,
They never
no.
promised to say,
I
okay, we're
was
gonna take care
given
of
the
that.
format. I was given the format of how that was calculated, and I had to put the actual numbers in the book, so it tells you how much of a percentage short you were from what from what you got to what you was actually supposed to have gotten, how much money you was short. And I brought this up, but people don't want to hear it. And at the time, I was just an executive, so I really didn't have too much. I'm gonna say power to do too much because they're gonna oversee me and go straight to the president, and he's gonna go with whatever the employer wants.
Right.
So that's how the game was. That's how the setup was.
So, Vice President Cheryl, you saw the same thing, and what was your, when you seen that far as the math wasn't math, and you
So
know,
what?
yeah, what was your concern?
Okay, so what I wanted to do was I wanted to go to my tax preparer. He's an accountant. So we took the salary guide to him. he didn't even have to pull out his calculator because the salary guide is in columns, so it will have the the salary, then it will have the percentage, and it goes over. I think it's 3 or 4 columns. I'm not sure. I know it's at least three, so it has the percentage up at the top. So he looked at it. He said, "Oh no, this is not right. It's not going up, like it's supposed to." And I said, "Okay, can you certify that?" He said, "The only problem is I'm not a certified public accountant, so I can't certify it." He said, "You would have to go to a certified public accountant." He said, "That is expensive. I'm going to let you know because it's usually law firms." He said, "They're going to send the work to an accountant anyway, but he said, I can't certify it," right? So I said, "Okay." So then we went to another person. That person wasn't certified either, but he didn't have to put out his calculator, and he said the same exact thing. So I said, "Wow, what is going on?" So then I realized, I said, "Well, okay, what they're doing is because we're the essential workers, right? That's what they call us anyway. I really don't think we're essential. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you, but that's what they call us. But when it comes to paying us
It didn't feel like
essential pay, we're not so essential, when it comes to paying us." And then I noticed that, we're treated the worst. And like at a board meeting, I even said, I said, "Well, I understand we're custodians, we're security guards, we're bus drivers. So we're probably looked upon as not being that significant." I said, "But we're all a component. I said, and if the bottom crumbles, the top is gonna fall." I said, "The ship," and this is what I said. I said, "That big, beautiful ship you go on, not going nowhere without them tugboats. I said, "The
right,
big, beautiful car not going nowhere without that small, alternator." I said, "So we do matter." I said, "But we all matter." I said, "But we're being treated like we don't." But also, David, when they do our contract, it seems like we always get the crumbs. You know, it seems like the district balances its budget. This is
right,
what I was told on us. Like we always seem to be the ones that get our contract done last, and we're understaffed. In our departments, we're understaffed. So if we're understaffed, we're overworked,
overworked.
right?
Definitely,
Which
yeah.
means we're underpaid. And I said our union has to be a part of that. That's where the collusion comes in at, because they go to the table, David, to do our contract, and they never take an attorney. But the district
Wow.
always has an attorney, right? So now what I discovered, and Liz has spoke to us about it, because I did my percentage, because we were supposed to get 3.75 this
Right.
last contract. And when I did my percentage, it's less than 2%.
It wasn't
And
looking right.
right, right.
Wow.
It's less than 2%. So I said, okay, that's what this is all about. They knew that if we went to that table, we were going to take an attorney with us. And the
Right.
attorney was going to tell us, because I believe that every employee should know exactly what they're making based on percentage. It should be computed into a dollar amount. And
Right.
that's not what they're doing. And our union isn't calling for them to do it, but we were definitely going to call for them to do it. I also let them know that I was going to fight for the per diem, because
Wow.
see, I know that even though they're not paying union members, it don't matter. They do the work that we do. I don't know if
Do me
that's
a
my
favor,
phone.
mute y'all. Those who not talking, just mute your mic real quick. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I knew that. Where was I at? Because I lost my train of thought.
You was
Oh,
talking about the percentage
There we
oh,
are.
the
and the per diems. How you
Yeah.
Oh,
was
the per
gonna do
Yeah.
diem.
How
So
that?
y'all
I made
sticking
it
up for them?
clear, because they just exploit the per diems. Oh my geez, they have custodian per diems and custodian per diems, because I'm a custodian, like I said. So let's say I don't come to work. I work 8 to 4, but custodian per diem shouldn't be able to come in. A per diem custodian shouldn't be able to come in the morning, but they can come in the evening. But let's say the district can't find the per diem custodian. They expect the custodians at work, the other custodians that have their own assignments, to pitch
Right.
in and not get a dime. And I started telling the members, don't do it. I started telling them, don't do it. And I'm pretty sure it got back to somebody, but we needed to establish that we were a union that wasn't just going to let the district run all over us. And I said, I know it's a chance that we're taking, but I didn't care because I wanted to show these people that I was, I was for right. But I have to be for right anyway. It's whether I'm showing it to somebody, but for me, but for me, because that's what I want to represent. I always want to be on the side of right, David.
No doubt, I get it. Hey, Elizabeth, what was your main concerns? And how did you, handle it as far as meeting it head on? What was your issues with Jersey City public school?
So again, my main concerns is if you're supposed to do something, then do it. And we have these collective bargaining agreements, each union.
Mm-hmm.
Um, 2262, Cheryl failed to mention a lot of what her and Keisha have endured since becoming president and vice president. Um, they they pretty much forced these two young ladies out of their titles and out of their seat, all the way to the point where they expelled them from the union. That is a violation of their rights. Like they have a right to belong to the union, but to keep them from exercising their right and their authority to represent their membership, this is what the district has done to them. Those are the kind of things I've always given. People say speak truth to power.
No doubt.
I've not been afraid to go to the board meetings and say, what you're doing is wrong. It's against the law. It's foul. It's this or that. Um, but I'm
So,
tired. I will
right.
tell you that. I have to say that. And
Mm.
so coming back and forth and going and speaking out against all of these consistent injustices is taxing, is wearing. And like Keisha and Cheryl, they were removed from doing their job on behalf of, they were elected to do that job.
Wow.
So you cannot be unelected except by the people who elected you.
Yeah. So how can they get expelled if only because you guys are speaking up, and this is why they're looking at y'all guys like bullies or too aggressive, as Cheryl mentioned. The you two
No, we
you
got
two
expelled.
militant.
Basically, we were doing the right thing, and this explosion is nothing more than like a takeover. Like Cheryl says, it's a takeover because when I was elected and Cheryl was elected and we all won, we got right to work. Stepping in, doing what needs to be done, trying to get things aligned the right way for the people as well as for ourselves. And when you sit and have conversations with the superintendent, right? When you first get in, like I said, Cheryl, let's just have a conversation, or whatever. We did that. We put out the issues that was a concern for us and as well as our members. Okay, I'm gonna look into this. By the next time we had another meeting, in between that time, my council affiliate was having meetings with the employer who's supposed to be there for me. And they had, and only reason I knew this because the email came to me giving two of the people that work for Council 63 a parking space. And I said, well, somebody's having a meeting here, Cheryl.
Wow.
Okay. So then I reached out to the lady from Council 63 that's supposed to be our field staff rep, Miss Ham. She says, oh, I'm not gonna go to the meeting. But she sent me the agenda. She asked me, did I get the paper? And I said no, but I thanked her for it because now I got some proof that y'all having meetings without me. So then when Cheryl and I went to a meeting after this conversation with Ms. Ham, we sitting with Dr. Fernandez going over the same issues that nothing was fixed from when we got in October. Here we are in March. That was March, and not one thing was addressed that we spoke about in October. So now here we are in March having a meeting, and at the end of our meeting, she says to Cheryl, "Oh, she says to us, both of us, I met your field staff rep. Oh, so Cheryl looked at me. I'm looking at Cheryl, and Cheryl said, "Oh no, I don't like this." And I'm just sitting there like, "You got to be kidding me!" And she said, "Oh no, 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 no! It was just for a meet and greet." Cheryl still was like she didn't like it. So I guess the way Cheryl acted, because I don't over, I people gonna do what they're gonna do,
No doubt.
and I try not to overreact, but I didn't like it either. So when we were leaving, she shook my hand, but she pulled me in to give me a hug, and I'm like, what the heck was that?
Playing in your
So
face.
I guess it was nervousness because now you know that we don't like what y'all did. So when I asked our field staff rep from Council 63, Ms. Ham, she said, "Oh yeah, I went up there to sign a part timers contract. How can you sign something?" That was another issue. That was one of the things on the agenda that they were speaking about because they said I failed to sign off on the part timers contract. That's not a contract that I negotiated. I'm not gonna go put my hand, John Hancock, on something that I did not that had nothing to do with. The previous president had 18 months after it was ratified to get this thing to signed off, but he dropped the ball. So they want to dump it on me. So now you want me to move how you want me to move. I'm not moving like that, and I'm not signing that because I had nothing. I didn't even agree with it. So why would I put my name on here? I'm not doing that.
Wow.
And and then they was like, well, you gotta basically trying to tell Cheryl and I have to report to Council 63. I'm like, I don't. What am I reporting to you for? Your job is to assist me when I contact you. So what am I reporting to you for? I don't have to report. My money goes to you. You don't
Right.
pay me.
Right.
You're not paying me, and that's what people need to understand too. When you paying into an organization, they work for you, not you. You work for them,
Right.
and a lot of people got the concept that when you join a union, if you don't stay with this union, your job is at risk. No, it is not. It is not.
Okay. Okay. Good morning to you, Jalandra. Thank you for
Good morning.
chiming in. Much love to you. How are you this morning?
I'm blessed. I ain't complaining.
That's a blessing to be blessed and to know that you're blessed. What was your situation, your issue?
Well, they
First, give us a background of yourself as well. First, give us a
well,
background of who you are and all that good stuff.
my name is Yolanda Thomas. I've worked for Jersey City Board of Ed for about 25 years. And then I started speaking at the meetings with Cheryl and them, and I told them about the fact that they kept skipping me for positions that I wanted to apply for. I went to 25, 35 interviews and didn't get one job. So I said, okay, it's time for me to speak up for myself. I went to the meeting, I spoke up for myself. I told them about all the nepotism that was going on in the company. They ain't like it. I called the people out. Then the next thing I know, I was getting letters saying that they was gonna take my pension. They was gonna. I went to hearings. They tried to force me to retire.
So, when you
They
spoke out, what did you say? What did you say when you spoke out?
I went to them and I was like, listen, I will apply for 25 positions. The positions is according to seniority, this, that, and the other. I said, there's a young lady that's the supervisor of security, and she's hiring all her family. She's not doing interviews with them. She just
Wow.
she's just hiring them. She hired 10 family members, and
And you
some of
and
them
you
was
went for 25
interviews for
interviews
a clerk position.
and didn't get one time.
Nope, not one job, not
Wow.
one offer.
Not even an offer. That's deep.
Nope.
Not even a consideration.
No. And
Maybe.
then they just kept sending me the interviews after interviews after interviews, knowing that the job was already taken, knowing that they wasn't going to hire me. And one person came to me and said, my problem was I don't know how to play the game.
Oh, wow. That's deep. That's deep. That's deep. So
Yeah.
how
Yeah,
did that make you feel? How did that make you feel?
Peed off. I was pissed off. So I was
Oh,
like,
okay.
okay, I can show you better than I can play. I can play this game.
I know that's right.
And I play to win.
I know that's right. They got the
So
right people in place, huh?
yeah, because I don't play nothing to lose, and I got in with these girls, and we have shook in that core of that place. They just don't want to admit that we have.
Right. So basically, y'all was probably the only ones. The way it sound, y'all was the only ones that's actually speaking up against what y'all actually
The
see.
unjust.
Yeah. Okay.
And we had proof, and they
there's a
still didn't do anything.
but
Wow.
there's
We
a
have
couple of more.
proof.
I'm sorry,
Sign-
John. There's a couple of more ladies that spoke up about issues that have happened to them. You know, they're African American women too. They have spoken up. You know, if you go back, I don't know if you want to, but there's
Right.
a lot of board meetings. A lot of them you'll see us,
Right.
but there's other black women that
Right.
have spoke up. You know, to the at the board meeting too to get things addressed. And it's just like when I was in my seat, right? Me and Cheryl, I wasn't allowed to go upstairs to speak to supervisors, directors, or whatever of
Hold on,
anybody
hold on. You
that's
wasn't
under our
allowed.
union.
You wasn't allowed.
No, they stopped us at
That's
the front desk, and then when Cheryl and
hmm
I decided to go to the other side of the building, we actually made it to the elevator. And what the security before that door shut, that security guard came and said, "Ladies, I know who you are, but I can't let you upstairs." And I said, "Come on, Cheryl, because I don't. I'm not gonna never put somebody in a position for them to get in
Wow.
trouble." So we stepped off, but that's one of the things that happened. Another thing that happened was um prior to me being expelled or suspended, because I was suspended first.
Right.
Prior to the suspension, they broke into my office. I had an office at the school that I work at,
hmm
and it was like the union and the district was in collusion with each other, because I get a phone call from my superior telling me to come down to central office because Dr. Fernandez wants to talk to me. Okay. I didn't go by myself. I went with the young lady that was my acting vice president, because they had already expelled Cheryl at this time. So I went down to central office, and I said to the security guard as I'm signing in, I said, "I'm here to see Dr. Fernandez." She said, "No, no, no, you're not here to see Dr. Fernandez." So I'm like, "Well, what is going on?" So at this moment, my director comes over and he said, "Miss Jenkins, I need to speak with you." And I said, "Okay." He said, "Just give me a minute." Okay. Me and Miss Herring go stand to the side. Next thing you know, he comes over. He says, "Miss Jenkins, your field staff rep, Miss Ham, is in the office. Are you okay with speaking to her?" I said, "I don't have a problem." He said, "Because they said that they was going to go to your school and embarrass you." I said, "Embarrass who? Embarrass who? I don't work for them people." So as I got told to come to central office, at that moment, my office was the lock on my office door was being changed. And when I was actually able to get it, they wouldn't let me in there to retrieve my stuff the very next day after I found out they suspended me. Um, I had to wait. And I'm asking, the principal, like, "Listen, can you open this door?" He said, "Oh, I don't think I have the key for that. Like, this your building. You don't have the key for the door." So walked over there with me anyway. Key didn't work. I'm just watching them, but I'm like, you know what? Things like this that take place when a person just want to retrieve their stuff. If I would have started spazzing, then I would have been a bad person, right? It didn't dawn on me because I was so mad at the time to call the police, because you can have the office. At no time did anybody, when before they changed the lock or locked me out of my office, they never asked for the key. They could have had the key. I would have gave it to them. But they like to do the wrong thing. The wrong thing to them feels so right in their spirit. It just feels so right to them when they do the wrong thing. And I guess they get a kick out of doing the wrong thing. So when I was finally able to get into this office to get my belongings, um, I see that the file cabinet that was in there, lock was popped. They just brand
Wow.
new furniture. So the district allows a union to go in and break locks on furniture that the union does not pay for.
Wow. That's
But y'all
deep. That's
cry
deep.
broke all the time. And I did bring this situation to Dr. Fernandez's attention, and she said, "Oh, they just wanted to go in there and get documents." How do you know that?
Wow. That's deep. That's deep. So, Cheryl, what was the steps you took to advocate, for the people that's under you before you got expelled?
Okay, well, before I got expelled, what was the catalyst of me starting to speak out? This was after I had a child that went to 34, and I used to speak out then, about the overcrowding. And I don't know if Liz remember me, but I know Liz would have meetings. I forgot what the name of the organization was, and I was always inspired, because Liz came and gave them the business, at the meetings.
That's her
So
yeah,
all day.
yes, and I know
love it.
she had a meeting
I
at
know her for
34 school.
years, all day.
I went to a meeting at 34 school she had given, and the woman at the time, the PTA president, I believe her name was Miss Williams. So I would ask questions and so on and so forth. And then Dr. Webster was at this meeting also talking about Century 21. So Miss Williams called me one day and she said, we want you to speak at a board meeting. She just asked me to do it. And I said, oh boy, I'm a little nervous about that. But I said, okay. She said, we think you'll be a good person to speak. So I spoke about a board meeting about the overcrowding because what they were doing was they had turned 15 into, like, I guess you would call that junior high, where they only took sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. Once they did that, those students had to come to 34th school. And what they did at 41, those students had to come to 34th school. So I went and I spoke on it once. She wanted me to speak again. I spoke again. The second time I spoke, Dr. Epps, I don't know if he was at the first meeting. I'm not sure. He might have been. But I'm going to say this about Dr. Epps. When you spoke at a board meeting, when Dr. Epps was the superintendent, from what I remember, associates came over to you. They came over to you and they spoke to you, and it was more engaging. They just didn't sit there stoic, like what's going on now. They just sit there stoic, just looking at you. But like I forgot, I think Dr. Rubano was the deputy, and he came over to me and he started talking to me. Another time I went, Dr. Wins came over to me. So when I went again and I spoke, and I said, well, maybe I should just put my son in charter school. And Dr. said, no, 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 we don't want you to do that, Miss Mays. We don't want you to take your son from us. So call me. Let's work this out. And I spoke about 3 times. So
Right.
then, is that my phone?
Probably so.
Okay, I don't know what's wrong with my
But
phone.
yeah, it's all right. Keep talking. That's
Okay,
okay.
okay. So then, that's when I started speaking up for the employees. Like I said, because per diems, I didn't like how per diems were being treated. Because you would have per diems that were per diems 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and
Wow.
they were making the same amount of money. And I said, well, but they could never pass the interview. Here we go with the interview. I said, so they're good enough to pass the interview to become a per diem. And once they're doing the work, they're no longer good enough to become a full time. So you are exploiting them. And what I said was because the majority of them are African American, right? And I did say it's like sending us back, to the fields. I said
Right.
because these people, their life can't advance, nothing can advance. So in other words, they're just working for you for free at this point. If they're working 10 years and their salary is 12.31 per hour, and then I started talking about other things. Now with full timers, David, for some reason in my department, I can talk about my department only because I'm not sure about the other departments. They tend not to pay us on time for overtime.
Mm.
So when it's time on payday, we get paid on the 30th and on the 15th. We will get our regular check, but we won't get our overtime. So you call the department and they upset with you because you're calling about your money.
Actually, about
And
your
what they
money that you work for.
right, and what they will tell you, David, is wait till the next pay period. Just like it's no big deal. So I
They're used
started
to doing it
emailing.
then. They're used to doing it.
Right, it's a culture. Right, it's a
Wow.
culture.
That's
So
deep.
and I would speak on that, and I would speak on that at board meetings because we should be paid on the day we work it. Now, a couple of times I made noise, and they did put it in my account the same day. So imagine if other people made noise because payroll is on the premises, David. They could cut you a check.
Facts.
They
Right
could
there
put
on the
that
spot.
money in your account. Right.
Right there on the
So
spot.
those were the issues that I spoke on also. Now when it comes to the union, when I got in my seat, there were these painters and they hadn't been paid for 2 months for overtime. So I reached out to Council 63, like Keisha said. Steve Tully, who's the executive, said, did they do a grievance? I said, a grievance? I said, we passed the grievance level. I said, you
Hmm.
are Council 63. I said, get in here. Because they had access to the lawyers, David. So
Right.
I'm thinking, now you're going to get on this phone. Because I think if somebody doesn't get paid, I think it's a shop stewardess that should be able to get on the phone and expedite that. That's
Right.
what I believe, right? If you have a good union, and that's what we want it to be, a good, effective union, even if it meant the members may not even like the way I move it. I'm moving this way because I want you to get results. We were at a meeting one time and we told them, well, why don't y'all come out or sign, a paper? We're going to do a letter, sign it, right? and they was all quiet. And I said, listen, I said, I need to fight for people that want me to fight for them. Because I can't save the people that don't want to be saved.
Right.
And I was starting to feel a little despondent, like, well, what am I doing this for? Because it's like they're just sitting there like they was afraid, David. You
Right.
know, but I mean, I kind of understand it. It kind of upsets me, but if it's not in them, maybe it's just I
Not
don't
in
know.
it. Yeah.
Maybe it's just not in them.
Right.
So sometimes I feel like, okay, this is my charge in life. You know, I'm not going to die over it. Don't get
Right.
me wrong, because sometimes I do have to say, okay, I need to take a breather.
No
I
doubt.
need to step back, and I do step back when I need to. But I said too, I don't think my ancestors will let me be quiet.
No doubt. Elizabeth, what made you become a person to actually lead or advise people like Cheryl and Keisha? You know, for years, I think you've been doing, a lot of, giving heads up or, what to look out for, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just kind of helping younger women than you, helping them out in their path. What made you
So,
want to be that type of person?
so years ago, I was a teenage mom. I was a young mom, and it got to the point where I had to figure out how I can make the most money to take care of my young family. And when I asked the question, the answer was work in construction. And at that time, there was a training program, couple of training programs at 121 North Avenue. So I joined the programs, I got the certifications, and I went to the construction sites ready to do the work. But every time I got to a construction site, they would say, well, have you worked in this field before? And I would say, no. They say, well, you have to have worked in the field. You have to belong to a union. I would go to the union, and the union would say, well, you have to have worked in the field. Like, we can't take you in. It was bull. It was a bunch of bull that was going on. But in the meantime, I met this man. His name was Frankie. He used to lead these group of people in protests against the different construction sites. And I joined him. And that man, God bless you, Frankie. God bless you. Continue to rest in peace. He taught us so much about standing up for our rights, organizing, and just the fact that standing up for your rights taught you about law. And in that doorway, when I came in, I started realizing, oh my goodness, this happens in everything. So there are laws that govern education. There's money attached to the laws that govern education. So while I'm learning this stuff, I was able to start getting the jobs in construction. I was able to become a member of Local 325. Continue to rest in peace, Nick Cedar, who was the head of that organization at the time. So coming in that way and learning from Frankie and them, I just naturally became an organizer. This is in my 20s. And when you get good information, it's just the nature of, I don't know every other people, but Black people like to share.
It's hard not to use it. It's hard not to share,
Girl,
right?
did you hear this? Do you know that? And that's what we did. We started sharing. So
Right.
like heads up, rest in peace. I shouldn't say rest in peace because I don't know if she's gone. But the lady that Cheryl was talking about, her name was Miss Edna. I used to call her Miss Edna, Edna
Oh,
Williams.
okay.
She was the president of the parent council at PS 34. And you had people on the inside that would see things that we questioned. And Cheryl is right about this. When we were under Dr. Epps, people used to think that I had a problem with Dr. Epps. I promise you I never did. I had the utmost respect for him. Okay. Because again, he would, if you were at a board meeting under Dr. Epps and you had an issue, he called the director or the supervisor of that department or program, and they had to go to the podium and give you your answer, or they would go off to the side and they would just address it.
Yes.
That's
This, I've never seen a beast or a monster like what's in place now. Like, Dejan Morris was, he, first off, he pulled a coup and took over the Board of Ed, but then he became the monster in the closet. Like, we
mm,
thought we were going to get better practices because he understood and he took over, But no, he became the monster that we was fighting all along, and he was terrible. He was just terrible. But I never
Mhm.
seen my whole time in activism, over 40 years now, anything like the administration that's in the district right now, the leadership that's at the board right now, and I mean on the Jersey City Board of Trustees. I've never seen stuff like this. It's a whole different kind of animal.
Need.
And when I started paying attention to Trump, it dawned on me, oh, this is a climate. And this climate is now in the school district.
Certain
So
energy.
fighting and standing for your rights is totally different now. Like
Yep.
Dejan Morris tried to get me arrested. Noemi tried to threaten to get me. Everybody wants to get me arrested at a board meeting. You're
Wow.
supposed to go to these meetings to get reprieve.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be able to say, hey, this is where your problems are. How can we solve it? And I will just say this again in reference to the interviews. So Miss Jalandra said she went to like 25, 35 interviews, right?
Right.
I would
Yes.
never have had the patience for that. But what I started realizing was they're not letting me pass these interviews. Like, what's going on here? So I did what you call a desk audit, and I was able to get my promotion through the desk audit.
Got it.
So this must have upset them. Like that heifer, how she jumped this blocks on this checkerboard,
Went
right?
over our head and got in.
And got in. And I'm like, because y'all playing checkers, I'm playing chess. But in any
Ah,
case, I got the position, but I have to tell you, they kept coming after me. And last year in August, they demoted me. So I'm back to square one
wow.
because they tell you you don't pass the interviews, but they won't let you see anything proving it. And I just want to put this out to the community who's listening. Please, God, let everybody be listening. The same way they don't allow the employees to check their interviews and scores when we are trying to advance, it's the same thing that happens at McNair. So any of these schools that they have your students testing at, if they're telling you that your child could not get into the program they wanted to be in, but they won't let you see the test scores, they won't let you see the process, then you probably want to get a lawyer because they're probably playing your children out.
Wow. That's deep. So, what are the moves you made, Keisha, far as getting answers or getting help? Did you reach out to anybody in the city to help you with this situation?
Yes, we've been reaching out to people. It's to the point to where I was telling Cheryl I'm getting tired of talking to people. We've reached out to a lot of public leaders, quote unquote, in this city. Um, Actually, Miss McKnight still has us on pause because I'm still waiting for her to get back to me. But I will say this: um, when I did go to Educational Gilmore, he did use his platform to assist me in any which way he possibly could. He called
Okay.
the international office while I was on the phone with him. He also um, followed up with me. Keisha, where are we at with this? What are we doing with this? And I would give him the details or whatever. Call me and let me know this or this, that, and third. You know, because in between, there's just a lot of things that's going on. You know, because even though Educational Gilmore was helping me with my this situation with this union stuff, because he did say to me, you know, they could tell me not they ain't got to tell me nothing for me to mind my business, and I said that's fine, but at least you're using your platform to assist. You know, however far it takes us is how far it takes us. Um, but it just gets to the point to where you start looking at things like you start being blackballed for speaking up.
Right.
I even with this union, when they expelled me, they sent the email. I wasn't shocked. I was expecting it because they don't want anybody to speak up for people that's making the bare minimum to live because a
Right.
lot of that money goes to them.
Right. So you think
So
they
they're gonna,
actually using that money in other areas or stealing or putting it over here, grabbing it. One, two,
I'm gonna
three
say
for
this.
you. One, two, three,
When
four,
I
five, six for
prior
me.
to after I got suspended, I filed charges on a president and a treasurer that was prior, not prior to me, but prior to them. And this treasurer, when we had got the financial bank statements, I saw that he was writing checks to himself. You know, none of these checks was written for the benefit of the membership. It was personal gain, like it's free money. And when I tallied it up between the two of them, it was over $30,000. So y'all just
Wow.
take, but then the money that they give back, which they call a rebate check to the local, is only about 2,500. How can if we're getting raises, right? And there's a contract every 3 years or every 4 years, and we're getting raises. How come every time the rebate stays at 2,500? Your local should be getting a little bit more money than that. So when we got in our seat, we spent money on our members. We had a Black History luncheon for them. The last union meeting, one of the executives bought breakfast and he was reimbursed. You know, we use the money for the members because I've seen how, these people, we don't all of us don't make a lot of money and all of us don't get a lot of overtime, but you're still giving money to this organization and not getting anything back. To this day, I've been in the district 22 years, which I'm going to say I've probably been in this union 22 years. I have never seen them give us an ink pen, a mug. JCEA, they give
T-shirt.
they people cups. We
Wow.
never got anything. We get nothing.
That's deep.
And not only that, they're not even getting us any money. So we
Mm.
literally getting nothing. But
Wow.
you're
That's
giving
deep.
your money, you working hard, you giving your the little bit of money that people are making, they're giving it away for union protection. But where's the protection? Because you're working with the employer, and it seems like you causing everybody in this union financial hardship. These things can be proven. I have proof.
Mm. No
I
doubt.
have proof.
No doubt.
I took another step. I don't want to put it all the way out there because I don't want it to backfire.
Mhm.
But I took a major step in getting some help, and hopefully soon we'll see the fruits of his labor. Hopefully sooner than later.
All right. Cheryl, the moment you was expelled,
Mhm.
what was that like? And what reason they gave you that you was expelled? What was the reason?
Well, they said I was expelled because someone filed charges against me saying I worked with an organization in the jurisdiction of the union. I don't know what that means to this day. That's what the charge says. I
Wow.
assisted an organization in the jurisdiction of the union. So if it's in the jurisdiction, how can it be outside of the? Because jurisdiction means you have jurisdiction. So
Right.
how would I be assisting somebody outside of the organization in the jurisdiction? Because jurisdiction means in-house, right? I
Right.
mean, maybe I'm wrong,
Maybe
but
talking about y'all little organization.
right.
Y'all had an
So
organization going that was trying to overthrow.
yeah, right. So I said, well, no, I said this is absolutely wrong. But when I looked at the allegations, the person said, well, she was trying to discertify the union, which is untrue because the certification is actually a process, and not one person can decertify union. You need a percentage, a third to decertify a union. So it's like, for instance, if I go into the police precinct and I said somebody stabbed me, I got to show them a puncture wound, right? So I said this allegation doesn't support the the charge. It makes no sense. But where I became suspicious at, David, was because the judicial panel was taking over. I said, well, judicial panels usually don't take over until there's actually a hearing. And then if one person feels like they weren't treated fairly and they want to appeal. I said, but for this judicial panel to already say they're taking jurisdiction, I said I knew something was going on. But I said, I'm going to go through the process anyway. I probably should have ignored it. But I went through the process. Lo and behold, I was found guilty. I said I was ruled guilty, but I knew that it was just to silence me, just
Right.
for the fact that in his because it was a male, the guy that actually ran against me for vice president is the one that filed the
Wow.
charges against me, and
So
he's
there
a
were
black
never.
man.
So there were never really women that was
Nope.
in those
Nope.
positions,
No, let
or
me.
Nope.
especially black
Let,
women.
right. So right now there were men before us. There was one black man. So a black man was in my spot before me, but years before me, right? And not another black person after that until me. Keisha was like she said she was the first black person and woman
Right.
to be in her spot. So a black person never held the top, the
Wow.
top spot, right? So now I had developed a relationship with one of the prior vice presidents who happens to be white. And when I told him, I said, they won't let me and Keisha go upstairs and they give me a hard time. Like, oh, you're just the vice president. He said, wait a minute. He said, when I was the VP, I could go upstairs anytime I wanted to.
Wow.
That's exactly what he said. But honestly, David, the treasurer could go upstairs and handle stuff. And so why is the treasurer going into grievances and hearings and stuff? Treasurer should just be about the money aspect of it. That's
Right.
it. But this is what they did. They allowed them to do exactly move how they wanted to move because they were moving for the company. Now the man I was telling you about who was the VP, they started to turn against him because after a while
My
right
phone's
here.
talking.
He
Oh.
said, we supposed to be working. Oh gosh, what happened?
You there? You
I
good? You
don't know
good?
what happened.
You good? That's
You
all right.
good?
You're not doing
We
anything.
hear you, Cheryl.
You good? You good? You good? You good? You good? You good? You good?
Cheryl.
No,
No, she can't hear.
It's
I
a
think she's
delay. It's a
delayed.
I don't
delay.
know
She's
what
delayed.
happened to me.
No, you good. It's a delay, but go ahead. Okay. You good? You good, Cheryl? If you can hear me, you good.
She can't hear.
She can't hear us.
She probably can't hear us.
Okay.
Hmm.
That's funny.
Yeah.
You here? You there? You hear me?
You can't hear us?
Is Joe
Nope.
calling me?
She can't hear us.
She better log out, log back in.
Yeah. So and Jalandra, I don't see you. You got your camera off, I think.
I'm here.
I don't know
All
what's
right. So
going
what
on.
happened?
Hello?
Yeah, you gotta put your
Cheryl is back.
icon, the video icon.
Cheryl, you're on. We hear you. You're back.
I might have to leave.
Yeah, she'll come right back. But
Yolandra,
Yes,
Yolanda can't see you.
put your camera on.
that camera is on.
Your camera
Oh,
not on. It's a black screen.
it's a black screen. Yeah. So
I can see y'all.
what other things was happening to you, Jalandra? What was happening to you?
So after all this and I didn't get promotion, I started. They started transferring me to different schools, tried to put me in the worst, accordingly to them, the worst schools. So this way I had problems. Then one time a parent came there, she went off on me. Then they had took me to a hearing. I didn't even know what was going on at the point. I go to here, they send a car to come pick me up off of my job to take me to the board for a hearing about a parent that eventually was supposed to I have supposed to did something to her child or whatever. Then they started writing me up for any little thing. They started doing stuff like um I didn't sign in to work and all these different things. They just was nitpicking. And then I went to another school and another school. It was just ridiculous.
Okay. And what was happening with you, Elizabeth? I know you're not in the same, union or whatever. What was going on with you? How were they coming at you all the time?
Well, the same thing that I told you before. Me and
Hmm.
Delandra, we both were called out at that
Oh,
same
okay.
April meeting. We were called out, but you're not supposed to penalize somebody.
Do y'all have a video of that board meeting?
Oh man, I wanted to send that to you. But yeah, it's
It's on YouTube.
online. It's
It's on
online
YouTube.
under the
YouTube.
huh?
Is it on YouTube?
It,
No, it's on Facebook,
What's
or it's
okay?
on or you could go on the Jersey City Public Schools page and click. I forgot how to get to their videos, but
Oh
it would be
yeah,
up there.
okay. All
but
right. So
yeah, the Jersey City Board of Ed, they record their meetings through they JCE TV, and they
right,
record it on Facebook. But it was
got it.
the April 2023 board meeting, and
Hmm.
we were so called now, being faced with an investigation for speaking out.
Right.
I want the community to know that that's a violation of your First Amendment right. Also,
Yeah. So
also when we were speaking
go
at
ahead.
these meetings, we weren't speaking as employees to our employer. We were speaking as the public. The reason being,
Got it.
before I went to these meetings, I complained through their so-called process of grievance, which you go and you complain in writing, never addressed, never resolved.
So you so that process is a bunch of
Yes, it's
BS or
Yes,
what?
everything about what the
Yes.
district does is flawed and is
So
a
true.
show. Like it's a fake. It's like we
Oh,
want you to believe that we took them through something proper, but they lied. They never did.
Abs-
Again, with Keisha and Cheryl, you don't have the right to stop these women from representing. They were elected by their members to represent them. But you're having backdoor meetings with the council. And Keisha didn't say this, but somebody literally said to her, you were only meant to be the face
oh
of the
yeah.
city.
Mm-hmm.
wow.
How do you
Wow.
tell somebody who went through a very legitimate process to be elected that even though you won, we don't intend you to really do work?
Can I say
So
something about that? And
Wow. Go
when
ahead.
when what Miss Perry talked about, even when we was elected, as we investigated, Cheryl and I, we found out that our votes were never certified. They never certified our votes, so which means we never received our
Mm.
credential cards. So myself, Cheryl, and our whole entire executive team, our votes were never certified. So when I saw the I guess he's the chairperson of the elections for our union, I asked him, I said, well, where's our votes? Oh, I have them in the garage at my house. I,
In the
but
yes,
I was
garage.
this
You
is
I don't
this
lying.
is
He
what he
did not
said. I
say that.
have them in the garage at my house. He said,
I can't believe
he
that.
said,
Keisha,
but he was saying,
Let me say this to you. That may be how they're able to get away with removing you all from your
right.
places
So he
because it's
said they
not
were in the
certified anywhere.
garage. He said they were in the garage at his house. He said, as a matter of fact, I was just looking at them in the box. So I said, okay. He said, do you want them? I said, yeah. You think you could give them to me? He said, okay. So I'll reach out to either you or Jermaine. Jermaine is one of my executives on my team. So I said, okay. So I
Mm.
called Jermaine instantly. I said, I spoke to the chairperson of the election, and he said he has the votes, our votes at his house. Um, so Jermaine must have
That's
reached out to
deep.
him, and then it became this back and forth between the two of them. So I waited for, like, this was January the 15th of 2025. So I waited like 5 days, and I reached back out to him via email, and I said, I'm still waiting for you to contact me, for the votes to retrieve these votes. After, I think it was like 5 more days went past or something like that, he sends me a text. Hey, Lakeisha, I'm sorry, but that box we spoke about, I can't find it, or something to that fact. Now you can't find it, but a minute ago you literally told me that it was at your house in the garage.
Not only that, he said I just
Yes,
looked at it.
yes, absolutely. So
That's the
how
part
do
I'm
you?
like,
I said to
hold up,
Cheryl,
you
he
can't
must have
find
spoke
it?
to someone from Council 63, and they must have said, don't give it to them.
Yeah.
Don't give it to them. This is why I learned from Miss Perry to record things. You have to record stuff. If it's somebody going in there like Cheryl and I, hey, I record Zoom meetings. I'm not, because you're not going to be able to say that you didn't say this. Recording a Zoom meeting is perfectly legal. And in New Jersey, all I need is the consent of one person that's in that room that say it's okay to record. And if I'm going with somebody that I'm comfortable with and I ask them, record button is going on. Because
Let me say something in reference to that, Keisha. They will
Go
tell
ahead.
you don't record this is the thing. If your recording is so-called illegal, it cannot be used in a legal forum. I say record everything, let them sort it out at the
Yep.
end, because you have too many people playing with our rights. And I'll
Right.
just tell you this: I had a process here with my so-called union, Education Secretary Association, under the teachers union. The teachers get looked out. Everybody else. So this man told me, he said, if you want to record me, this is my union rep. He said, if you want to record me in a grievance hearings that I'm having with the district, I'm not going to be able to represent you. I said, well, I'm going to record. So whether you represent me or not. But they knew they were going in with the intention of not guiding me in a way that I could benefit from the grievance. So I record everything. And if
Right.
we go to court and the judge says you can't use that, then throw it out. But
Right.
I
Like
record everything.
That's it.
like I said, I've been with the district 22 years. I filed the grievance because I found when I was an executive board member for the local union, I stumbled upon that we were entitled to vacation days, 10-month employees. We were never getting them. I've been here 22 years. I never got vacation days. Never. Never.
What?
And
So
they play with their sick
Never.
days.
when I found this lawsuit, I took the steps.
Oh, so y'all went on and got attorneys and
No, I
everything.
found the lawsuit. It was a lawsuit that someone had
Hmm.
sued prior to this, like back in 2014,
Got it.
15 or something like, and they won
Okay.
because 262 people got paid out from the district for this lawsuit about
Right.
vacation days. So I found that the docket number was on the board's website. I took that docket number and I went to the courthouse. I went to the courthouse and I went to go get the whole trial. They didn't have it there. The lady said, "You just missed it. We sent it to Trenton." So she gave me the number to call or whatever, and the location and the box that it was in. I did that. So the lady said, "How do you want me to send it to you?" I said, "Can you send it to my email? Send it to me." It's like 52 or 48 pages of documents. And so I'm going through it. It was like a back and forth thing with court. Finally, they ended up having to pay $700,000 out. So you're gonna
Wow.
tell me I put in a grievance for these vacation days because I want my vacation days. I get some old stupid email back from Mr. Rivera that um that something with the email that exceeds the time or something he said, and I said no, 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 this is about vacation days because vacation days that I didn't receive turns into dollars and cents. So now I want my money. So I brought this to the attention of the union, and when I first brought it to Miss Ham, who is our field staff rep, right, Cheryl, in the meeting, she said, yes, from what she was reading in that contract book, she said, yes, you are entitled to vacation days. Okay. Fast forward to October. This was the first union meeting that I was not no longer, well, I was suspended. And in that same meeting, the former president was there. The person that I beat out was there. And so Miss Ham had, oh, you guys don't get vacation days. This is Frank gave me the paperwork from the lawsuit. I said, is that the real paperwork or is that something that he just printed offline? Because I have the actual documents, sealed documents, stamped documents. I did the
Wow.
footwork to get it and I paid for it. So she's sitting there. So now all of a sudden, nobody wants to hear anything about our vacation days. But I'm pressing the issue. My next step is to contact PERC. And sometimes I feel like all these new public government agencies are intertwined with the union because when we call, they used to call back. Now you call, they don't call you back.
Right.
They do not
I'll call
call
you back.
Cheryl and I back.
Wow. So
Wait, David, can I
Cheryl,
add this to that because it's similar?
yeah, go ahead, add on. Go ahead. This is y'all
Thank
platform.
you,
Go
sir.
ahead.
Thank you. In
You're
2018,
welcome.
while I was still working a full, like fully engaged employee with the after school program, and my supervisor was amazing. The department head at that time was amazing. So I don't have
Mm-hmm.
complaints against them, but I have complaints against processes, practices, and
All right.
policies. In any case, I
Okay.
said to my supervisor, I'm almost certain y'all should be paying me time and a half for my overtime. Like, we are, a state-ran employee-employer relationship. She said, no, because Casper is its own entity and the parents pay and blah, blah, blah. Now, she was right to a certain degree, but you were not under your own, they were not up under Casper with its own EIN. They was under the district EIN. So that made them Jersey City Public Schools after school program, don't care what you call it. And that meant I was entitled for time and a half. I ended up sending a question and opening an investigation with the wage and hour of the New Jersey Department of Labor. How about they came back with a decision, David, and said,
Right.
you are entitled to
Wow.
time and a half. Not only should you have been
Wow.
receiving time and a half, most of the employees that was doing the Casper work that were not teachers should have been getting this time and a half. But not only the workers in the after school program, over 200 and some odd employees throughout the district was entitled to a refund from the district because they were robbed of their time and a half. Listen to this part.
Wow.
So you get the decision back. The district has to pay us some money. They fudged the hell out of the numbers because the money they was giving us back did not equal what we had earned. It was literally pennies,
Mm.
not even on the dollar. It was literally pennies.
Wow.
But the
Wow.
district wanted to continue that process, right? So you know what they did? They so-called add some language to the collective bargaining agreements that gave them the right to pay these same workers the same rate they had been paying them before the wage and hour decision. And what I try to say to employees is,
Wow.
it don't matter if they put something in language in a contract. If it's illegal, if it's on something illegal, it doesn't matter. It doesn't count. They should still be getting time and a half for their after school work. But they believe because the language was added to their collective bargaining agreements that they have to receive the flat rate. And a lot of them are being robbed. Know what the district did to me? Because I filed the wage and hour report, they said, don't get that help for no more overtime, period. I have not had overtime. I have
That's
not had
Wow.
overtime since 2020.
Hey, look,
In
I haven't heard
years.
heifer in years.
Maybe they didn't use that word. That's old school,
That-
but
I know what you mean, but I know exactly what you mean. Hey, but listen, we're going to go to a break real quick, and we're going to come right back and deal with the legal situation. I think some of you guys got some lawyers and all that stuff at this point, and to make things happen. But we're going to go to a little break really quick. Give me 1 minute. 1 minute. Okay, let's see. Bang. All right.
Some people talk about wearing many hats. Tammy Weaver Henry, she lives it every single day. She's a spiritual leader, a healthcare professional, a police chaplain, a business owner, and a tireless community volunteer. No matter which hat she's wearing, she's always focused on one thing, and that's serving Jersey City. Tammy's running for city council to bring all her experience and all her hats to work for you.
And I cheer her on in every role because I'm her husband, Baron Henry.
And Tammy Many Hats is exactly what Jersey City needs.
All right. Now we're going to get into the legal situation real quick that y'all have going on right now. Some of you have going on. Let's give me 1 minute real quick.
where Miss Perry go?
Real break. There
All
you
right.
go.
right here, ladies. I'm saying good morning to my son while we was on break.
6 o'clock.
I think this has been a very good conversation.
Is my screen still black?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
I don't know what happened.
You trying to hide. That's all.
Nah, we did.
Find your
I could.
video. Find your video button.
I am. I see it.
It's the camera icon.
Yeah, I hit it.
David, do you have Jalandra blacked out? Because she said her
Yeah.
video button isn't blacking her out.
No, No, she is. I think she's. I think she has to hit her camera. Something going on with her camera because that's you got to figure it out.
Yeah, well, we
It's
did
your
have
camera.
power outages
You got to
around
try.
here
You
this
got to
morning.
fix your camera. You because you was
Yeah.
on. You was on a minute ago. But anyway, let's get right to what made y'all say the people who actually is in the legal situation right now. What made you say I'm going to get a
Should I
lawyer?
start, ladies?
Well, let me say something. We Cheryl and I don't have a lawyer at as as of right now, but we did get a lawyer when we were in
Right.
our seats to assist us with going after the district for the things that are the people are entitled to. And I believe once we got this attorney, because I had to get two attorneys, to be honest, when I first got in, because they were releasing our social security numbers, the whole entire union. Um, and then they claimed that they was giving us credit monitoring. That's what it was, Cheryl.
Yes.
But then they still was releasing the social security numbers. Oh, he got some.
Which that was against the law, right?
Yes, it was against the law, and that's what that the last attorney told them, that it was against the law, and that if they continue this practice, he was going to seek recourse. So I guess that's when they said, this heifer got to go too.
More like we're sick of all these heifers.
Yeah, y'all gonna leave them heifers out. Leave them heifers in the field.
uh,
So that was that. So
I'm
as
sorry.
I was saying, while I was in my seat, I had to get two attorneys, like I said. One, the first time it was because, well, both times it was because the district was releasing our social security numbers, the whole entire union. So we spoke about it at a board meeting. They claimed that everybody was getting credit monitoring and that they was going to stop this. When I actually got into my seat and I was able to lay eyes on paperwork and things of that nature, I saw that they
Right.
was still continuing this practice. So I got another attorney, and this time he sent the district something letting them know that if this practice, like, it's against the law for them to do that. You're supposed to only use the last four digits of someone's social, not the full blown. And I didn't understand what do you need our full blown social security number for? They asked me saying they didn't, and they was like, well, you have to talk to your employer. If you're supposed to be for me, why didn't you tell them to stop? Stop sending it to you like that. But that wasn't the case. So the attorneys sent the email to the district and let them know if they continue this practice, he was going to seek legal recourse. So lo and behold, it stopped. So I guess, like I said to Miss Perry, they said, "Oh, we gotta get rid of this heifer," because see, that attorney was hired to go after the district because security guards were not getting paid for report card nights. They were not getting paid the time and a half that they should have been getting paid for the times that we was
Right.
having report card nights and parent orientation. 10-month employees were not getting paid vacation days, as it states in our contract book. And another situation that needs to be addressed too is this: our contract book, David, states that we have 10-month employees have continuous service. With continuous service, now that's a clause in our contract book. There's another clause in our contract book that says if you are called to return back to work anything than your regular shift, you are to be paid time and a half. When we get into the summertime, they pay us $20 an hour, right? And the hours are less. So now,
Okay.
from what I was told, that when you work in the summertime, you are allowed to collect unemployment, right? So now I did that last year just to see where this process was going to take me, and it went through. Lo and behold, I get a letter from the Department of Labor to do a hearing that the district had put on me. And it was because they said I have continuous service. So if I have continuous service, then you need to be paying me when I work in the summertime, time and a half. Because that's not my regular shift. So what they do is
Right.
they have 10-month employees that want to work in the summertime. apply. You have to apply. Fill out an application. Literally, fill out an application.
Hmm.
They hire you, and then you get the $20 rate. But how can you be two
Right.
people? How can I be a full time employee with continuous service, and then I'm a per diem?
Good question. Good question. Martin Banks says, is oh, did that Martin
Yes.
Banks?
Yes,
No, let
that's
me see.
Martin
That's not
Banks.
Martin. Let me see. That is Martin,
Mhm.
right? It is okay. Yeah, he said, is the resolve the issue, and overtime has to be paid
Yes.
at time and a
Yeah,
half.
we aware. Oh, we
Okay.
very familiar with perk. Very familiar.
No doubt. Okay. Same question to you, Cheryl. Same question. Let me hold on for a minute. Let me just do this real quick, Cheryl. Hold on.
Okay,
Go
no,
ahead,
we don't.
Cheryl.
I don't have a personal lawyer yet either. But if I can speak to what Keisha was speaking about when she got the lawyer, and the lawyer sent. Well, the first lawyer I believe we got maybe right away, maybe October. We got the first lawyer to send a letter to assistant deceased. Releasing the whole
Right.
entire Social Security number. They were actually releasing it to Council 63 when they sent over our union dues, but it wasn't necessary. They failed to redact, the first five. They failed to redact it. And like Keisha said, when she discovered
Right.
this the first time, she discovered it because she requested an Oprah request of how many people was in the union and what we paid. And when she got the information, she saw
Right.
everybody's social security number. And she told me what my social security number was. Wow. So she
Right. Right.
contacted the superintendent right away, and it was like no big deal to the superintendent, right? But we went to a board meeting and we went off, right? And I said, I want credit
Right.
monitoring. So now after that board meeting, and I got thrown out of that board meeting. Right? Yeah, I got thrown out of that
I
board
know
meeting
that's right.
because they wanted the cops to escort me out. The cops wouldn't even touch me, but they had security come. So I left out. I think Keisha said, "Come on, Cheryl, they're not gonna let nobody else speak." I said, "Okay, I'll leave." So I left out. A few days later, Dr. Fernandez has John Chester, who's a consultant, call us to ask us to come up for a meeting. I said, "Well, what are we going up there?" And I wasn't going to do it. Keisha said, "Cheryl, we've been invited to a meeting and you're going." And I said, for what? Because I'm like, what are we talking to these people for? It's a waste of time. But lo and behold, I did. I went to the meeting and she came in the room and she said, oh yes, you will be getting, credit counseling. But still, our social security numbers will still released. Now, when we got in our seats, David, and like I said, when Keisha discovered it again, that's when she got the lawyer. The lawyer sent them assisted deceased. They kept doing it. So the day before Keisha, I don't know if she told you the union was put under administratorship because after I was expelled, 3 weeks later, the union was actually put under administratorship. Where now they're going to come in, the big people from the council going to come in and they're going to take over. That's not come I called it a takeover. It's actually really not an administratorship, David. Because when I look at what an administratorship is, they're supposed to be reporting to the Department of Labor. They're not doing any of that, right? So now, Keisha, the lawyer sent the district a letter. I believe it was July 23rd, right? Telling them the assistant deceased, telling them also that they were breaking the contract when they let the other union members come in, when the other union come in, because they were still doing work. So what happened was the day after that, Keisha was suspended. The day after that, Keisha was suspended. I said,
Wow.
Keisha, and then they
That's
tried to say it's because she was defending me, because she had defended me
mm,
prior, 3 weeks, 2 weeks before that. But it just so happened that the day
right.
after the lawyer sent the district a letter, I said, oh, the district must have called the council and said they're not, Keisha's not playing ball, even though Miss Mays is gone, Keisha's not playing ball because Keisha.
Yep.
Right,
She not
right.
acting
So
right.
that is the reason why. But as for myself personally, I don't have a lawyer yet. But I wanted to bring something else up, David. You had asked me about something else I spoke about,
Good.
and Miss Perry brought it to my attention. My pastor also always tells me you got to start keeping a journal of what you do, because you forget.
Right.
Because I fight so many different fights,
That's
and I
right.
do forget. I lot that I had been fighting
Right.
the sick day issue. Even though I get my sick days, the
Oh, okay.
premium,
So you're not getting no overtime or no
but
extra time, or you're
right,
not
right.
getting the
Well, I am.
vacations,
Well, see, David,
and
I'm
you're
a
not
12
getting.
month, so I get my vacation. So
Okay.
see, and this is another thing.
Okay.
This
Okay.
union is
All right.
muddled with so many different departments, like tradesmen are in our union, laborers, groundskeepers, bus drivers, security guards, custodians. Actually, we really probably shouldn't all be in the same union because we don't have the same problem. So I did some research, and they said, how can you tell if a union is corrupt if they have so many different departments? So, because all they want is the money, you know. At this point, all they want is the money. So I started speaking about
Right.
sick days, David. I do get sick days because I'm a full timer. Per diems are supposed to get sick days too. The governor put out a mandate, I'm talking about Governor Murphy, in June of 2018, that if you work 30 hours, you earn 1 hour sick pay. They weren't giving the per diems their sick pay. The per diem, they sick time, I should say, should have went in the bank for them. So I started asking the per diems. I said, "Are y'all getting y'all sick days?" They said sick days. They even called David while I was on the phone to inquire about it, and they were told, "No, you don't get sick days." So I decided to address it publicly. I did it maybe about for a whole year, David. All of a sudden, they started cutting checks to the per diems. All of a sudden, one of the per diems
Woo.
happened to be a full timer now in my school. So this person brought me the pay stub where they paid her, and also showed me the spreadsheet where it said how much hours she had accumulated. When they paid her money, David, it was like $1,100 because they never gave her access to sick days. But hold on to your seat. When I looked at it, because every year they did like 2018 to 19, right? 19 to 20, 20 to 21. So they had the rates. The rates were more than she was actually making because she was actually only making 1231. So when I looked at this, I said, wait a minute. This year says 1332, right? I said this year says
Hmm.
13. I might be off a little. It was 1330. Then the next one was 13 something. The last one, the last year, 20 to 2021, because she had became a full timer, was $14. I said, did you ever make these rates? She said, absolutely not. So they were supposed to be giving
Mm.
per diems raises, and they weren't. And this is important for the taxpayers to hear because taxpayers, they levy, they put what's called the tax levy, right? And the taxes go up. But they're not doing the right thing with this money because in order for them to figure out the budget, they got to include our salaries. But taxpayers, they're not paying us how they're supposed to be paying us. So you really do need to be concerned about that. And another thing, Keisha spoke about how our votes weren't certified, David. Now we didn't find it out because the Constitution is about 400 or something pages long, right? So they really don't expect you to read it, right? We know that because it's so long.
Right.
But then I kept meeting. That's why I said, wait a minute. We never got credential cards, but I thought that was funny when we got in. I said, well, how would people know what's really on record that we actually, have these positions? But the
Right.
committee, the executive, the chairman of the committee is supposed to send our votes to Washington. And that never ever happened. So
Because
if
they
our
sit in the
so
garage.
if our votes were never sent to Washington, how does the international president put this union under administratorship? That's what I do not understand, David, to this day. How would they put under, how are
That's deep.
positions taken away that were never given? Now, with mine, my position, let me make this clear. They didn't come after my position, they came after my membership. So once they came after my membership,
Right.
I
That's
lost my
connection.
position. Right. I lost my position. So it's not that they, but that's why they did it. You know what I'm saying? I know that's why they did it. But on paper,
Mm.
they're coming after my membership, not my not my title.
Right.
But of course, I can't be an elected official if I don't have a seat. But these are so many things that they did wrong, David. They didn't follow their constitution. Also, Council 63 was
Wow.
at our election. They officiated over our election. They shouldn't have did that. That's a charge against them because it's called interference, right? It's called
Makes sense.
interference. They had no right doing it. We had an
Okay.
election committee that works in the district. They were supposed to handle everything, David, everything. But the council came in because they the ones that want to control, because they get 55% of our union dues, David. As I said, well, I'm no longer a union
Mace.
member, so I don't pay dues
Oh,
anymore.
she breaking up again, y'all. She breaking
Wait,
up
can I say
again.
something?
Okay.
All
Also,
right.
I want to piggyback off of what Cheryl said. Like when I got suspended, my supervisor, three of my supervisors are in my union. They're not supposed to be there. Which this one of the supervisors was actually the
Oh
president.
well, I think everybody broke up.
You can't. I'm breaking up. Hello.
Yeah, everybody breaking up now.
Uh, did you hear
Yeah, I
me?
can hear you, Keisha. Go ahead.
Oh, so I was saying, like as Cheryl was saying,
Can
my
you hear me?
supervisors, huh?
Yes, I can hear you, David.
We
Yeah, I
can
hear
hear
you a
you.
little bit.
My supervisors are actually in my union,
All
and the
right.
supervisor prior to me was a president of our local. He is the one that put these charges internally on me, and that's how I ended up getting expelled because he does their dirty work for them, you know. So he plays the game of he don't care about financially causing people financial hardship or whatever. I guess he got his own way of get. I'm assuming because when I got my seat, I was asked saying, "Oh well, you're not going to be doing this for
Past,
a long time."
what y'all didn't see,
Trying
you
to
can go
offer
back
me a
and check it out.
supervisor position. I don't want
Just
anybody to
rewind
give me
or
anything
check it out on
because then
YouTube or
it's
whatever the
easy
case
for
may
you to
be.
just take it back.
Can you hear me?
If I didn't earn it, I don't want it. So, and that's was one of the things. But we have a constitution. Local 2262 has a constitution, and in that constitution,
Yeah, it's
supervisors
going in
are
and out.
excluded. Huh?
He said you're going in and out.
Who
David,
me?
we hear each other fine. Maybe that's just you.
Oh,
Maybe that's just David. I hear you,
Yeah,
Keisha.
I heard Keisha.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I
heard
hear
it crystal
everybody.
clear.
Yeah,
Yeah, I hear
okay.
Keisha.
Well, David looked like he froze.
yeah, he looked frozen.
David Rose. Yeah, because I
But
heard Keisha every word she said.
guys, we had to make the point about the unemployment when all the people got exposed and got money when they should do. They ain't paid sick days to people that retired yet. Me,
They haven't even paid us our sick time for being a per
Yeah.
diem in the summertime.
exactly. So
But
It's
Yolanda,
really,
how long you been going? They haven't paid you yet?
nope, they refused to pay me for my 80 sick days
Oh wow.
because I've been gone 2 years now.
I think we got David back. David, you back?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you now.
okay. So
We
as
were holding it down for you, David.
I was saying that
No doubt, no doubt.
our local has local 2262 has a constitution. And within that constitution, there's a clause that supervisors are excluded from joining a union. Yet three of my supervisors are in this union, are a part of it. So when it comes to filing a grievance, right, you are supposed to go to your supervisors that's not a part of the bargaining unit. So how can any security guard go to anybody when he was in that seat to file a grievance because you're part of management? You should not have been there.
Right. Let me
And then
ask y'all a question. This is for all of y'all. This is for all of y'all. How did this situation impact you? I mean, personally, how does it make you? Personally, how did it impact you, and professionally, how did it impact you?
David, can I first finish the one about the lawyers? Because you asked us how did we get to that, and I didn't speak
Yeah.
on it yet.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No problem. Thank you. What happened with me was they were calling a test, and they gave. It's like they called the test behind closed doors, and they gave a group of women the right to take the test and the certifications. I had that certification previous. They would not allow me again to have the position because I didn't pass the interview.
Mm,
And it enraged me. It was like, wait, because the women that had won these certification, some of these women, many of us employees were already under the impression were certified in these positions, but they were not certified in the positions. So you stopped me from having the opportunity to be in that position, kept people in there who were not certified in it, and now here you are giving them a chance behind closed doors to get it. That's what enraged me enough to say, you know what, I want to bring a lawyer in. When I
right.
brought the lawyer in, and again, the interviews and the processes were still going on that were working against employees and their opportunity to advance. But I want the audience, and I'm looking at some of the comments from your audience, they're very knowledgeable about what we're talking about. I appreciate that. Um,
Thanks, Martin Banks.
there are a lot of there are other women who are not here representing themselves, who are going through this, and it seems as though a lot of what is happening as far as the really severe injustices are happening mainly to African American women.
Yes.
Right.
Well, once there was a changing of the guards where the superintendents were no longer black, because we had Epps, we had Walker, we had Dr. Lyles, we had a lot of black administrators, and we didn't use it as activists or whatever. We never thought anything of it. That's just who's sitting in the seat. But now that you have a lot of Latina and other ethnicities running the district and running the board, you can see the disparities, you can see the biases. And I'll send you a video if I get a chance where,
Okay.
Doc, the superintendent and the current president, they're speaking, and you could tell that I say allegedly there's obvious bias. Allegedly there's obvious bias from them towards us. But there are a lot of us black women, and I guess it's black women because the majority of workers in the district just happen to be women in these particular positions of
Right.
supervisors and clerks and stuff.
No
But
doubt.
we are going through it and we are being, retaliated against,
Hmm.
abused,
Harass.
violated, played out in our positions and all of that. And so that's the reason why I decided, like, let me get a lawyer. Now,
Yeah, no
here's
doubt.
something I want to point out. My first lawyer, he took me through 2 years, and trust me when I tell you, he didn't do anything, right? Except escort me to some depositions. I'm finding out all the things he could have done and should have done, but he did nothing but escort me to some depositions. So he turned me over through the courts to another lawyer who I'm questioning what goes on. And I'm saying that to say we know that historically, Hudson County has questionable practices anyway and questionable relationships. So I am alleging that some of these relationships work against people having these lawsuits. I'm questioning whether or not we are really being genuinely allowed to have the opportunity to be heard in court and to see whatever the results of that could be. Thank you.
Yeah, so like as I was saying, my supervisor brought these charges up on me internally through the union, which he should not even be a part of. But you they try to hold us accountable for, I guess, call themselves saying we broke the Constitution or whatever, but they're breaking it. And I've been speaking about the supervisor being in our union for the longest period of time. It's just been being ignored. And they still there running around, you know, participating in things that they shouldn't be participating in. And the sad reality is when you said you asked us how does this affect us personally and professionally, that's what
Correct.
you said.
Yes.
Um Personally, you causing me a financial hardship, this union. You expelled me, and you could expel me. You expelling someone on the basis of what? Of hearsay. Because my charges were frivolous. It just
Right.
it wasn't, the charges that they gave was basically he charged me with writing checks. I never wrote a check in my life. Do I have to sign it? Yes, I do. Was it legit? Yes, it was. Do we have receipts? Yes, we do. Absolutely.
Mm.
He charged me with paying an attorney after I was suspended. I didn't even know I was getting suspended.
Deep.
So I, and my checks don't have timestamps on them.
Mm-hmm.
Yet when you go back and look at the books when I signed in or whatever, and she gave me that paper, it was after 12 o'clock. So I'm like, they're breaking in offices, they're doing all types of stuff, wanting me to turn
Mm-hmm.
over books that I never got when I became president. So how can I give you back something that was never given to me? I
Right.
can't. And personally, it affects you because honestly speaking, it kind of make you feel like you failed. It kind of make you feel like you failed when you know in your heart you was doing the right thing. But I know that I didn't fail.
No
It's
doubt.
just that they became scared. They became scared because I
Of
spoke.
course.
Someone came to me. Well, someone said to me, they said, why you ladies don't speak at the board anymore? I said, for what? Where's it gonna get us? They said, y'all was dangerous, dangerous. I don't want to be labeled dangerous, but if speaking the truth makes you a dangerous person, then
Hey,
I
hey,
take
so
it.
be it.
yep. Hey, Martin says, listen to this. Martin, check this out, y'all. Martin said, it appeared from the outside discrimination and retaliation practices.
Yes,
Oh,
definitely.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Keisha, can y'all not name your union? Can y'all say who your union and your council are?
Yeah, I said Council 63, and it's asked me American Federation of State, County, Municipal Employees.
I wonder if these practices go on in other ASME unions.
I'm quite sure it does because when we went to a protest with the Hudson County workers, remember Cheryl? And they said they came out there, but they didn't stand with them. Y'all taking people money, y'all not doing anything with them for them.
Mm.
And all of these things that I'm saying, I can prove. I have documentation
Yes, we do.
up
Jolanda,
up the
Jolanda,
ass to
you have a
prove what
lawyer
I'm
as
saying.
well, and you have been expelled. How long ago, Jolandra?
Whew.
Jalandra,
Jolandra or Jolandra?
It's okay.
All right.
Let's see. I had a lawyer,
Uh huh.
and now that lawyer now works for the board.
Wow.
See what I'm saying?
And
That's
me
deep.
and Miss Perry actually had the same lawyer,
Wow.
and he cites both of us. So that right there, without whatever I did, went out the door with the lawyer basically. So
Hmm.
that was one thing. I done signed grievance. I done went to EEOC. I got a lawyer and all that, and nothing has been done.
Wow.
And as far as how it makes me feel
Hmm.
you mess with me, you mess with my family, you mess with my finances, you gonna get this heat.
I know that's right.
Okay?
I
But
know
at
that's
the end
right.
of the day, I felt like I did everything in my power that I could do. And now it's up to the Lord. And honey, you got to answer to that.
Do y'all feel like it's a money grab?
yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Because
Mm.
Because I'm gonna
everything
tell you,
about this.
David, when when I filed my charges on the previous union officials for misappropriating the funds or whatever, they used Ask Me Attorney. We all asked me, right? We
Right.
all asked me. AFSCME. We all asked me. So it's just members and members. They was provided with a attorney that works for them.
Mm-hmm.
And when it became my turn and the charges was filed on me, I wasn't provided with no attorney from Ask Me. So he gonna get charges put on him too. Cause I'm gonna call the bar association because our dues probably is a contribution to your salary and
Yep.
you are going against us. You shouldn't have been representing nobody because we all asked me members. It was member to member, not member to attorney to member.
Right.
No,
Right.
but that's how it was. That's how that hearing was. And I believe it is a money grab because Cheryl brought up a lot of times to them about the amount of money that this union gets from us. And it's a lot of money. But to receive all of this money, you taking union dues every paycheck. And these people, like I said, these people are not getting any, we're not getting anything. Like I told you before, I seen the JCEA, they give their members cups, mugs,
Hmm.
whatever, umbrellas. We never get anything, not even a pencil and a notepad. We get nothing for our dues.
True.
No
Wow.
representation. Like Cheryl said, when she was fighting for the per diem to get their sick days. When I turn into a per diem in the summertime, that means I'm entitled to sick days. I never get those either. I put an email through. It ain't go nowhere. The union ain't doing nothing. So I have to take the next necessary steps to get all the dollars and cents that belong to me.
And I
And
and I will say
Right.
this here. I don't know about what to call it. I just like learning how they do their budgeting and different things, right? So I know that people are supposed to get sick pay and they're supposed to get vacation pay. I know that we're supposed to pay into unemployment and be able to receive unemployment. But this is some of the stuff that the district is allowed to do, and so this is how they do it. They do not allow us to have temporary uh, workman's compensation. We don't pay into that. So we have to buy a separate program like AFLAC or something if something happens to us. Because the district, if you use up your sick days and your vacation days, you don't have any days, the district will be quick to come after you and penalize you and or let you go because you don't have days to cover. But they don't let anything be put in place so you can have that kind of coverage. When it comes to the unemployment, the district has decided to be so-called self-funding, right? Rather than we pay directly to the state manages our unemployment. We have to file for our unemployment, and the district has a greater say-so as to whether or not we are entitled. So guess
Right.
what the district does?
I'm a
It finds
witness.
a lot of people not entitled. So
Yep.
if the state says, okay, we would have given you unemployment under our regulations, but the district says no. Now it becomes a battle. You have to have a hearing as to whether or not you should receive something that you otherwise would have been entitled to. So they don't want to pay. They don't allow us to deal directly with the state for our unemployment. They don't allow us to have workman's comp with the state. So we have to buy outside programs. We bought. I had AFLAC. I had um, two other insurances for supportive finances, right? Do you know last year in October, November, they just canceled those programs after paying into it for years. They
Wow.
canceled them. So I said, wait, hold on. Because usually, if you have a program, you have the right to continue paying into that program if you're unemployed, if you let go, what have you. They didn't give us that. So I paid into these programs for years. You decided that you don't longer want to be the liaison. But what happened to my money? What happened to those services I was purchasing? And the district does those kind of things in a lot of different ways. And when we filed with civil rights, we filed with EEOC. We filed with the New Jersey Attorney General's office. I questioned through Sandra, not Sandra. Who I did Sandra too back then, Cunningham, but Angela McKnight. We asked all of these people. We went to the NAACP, man. Jersey City Public Schools had a so-called public hearing for personnel issues. The guy from NAACP, what's his name, Mr. Maynard? He came there. A couple of people came there. Some of them with, I guess you want to say, leadership potential official organization. But where's the follow-up, right? Because we all came and we poured out our hearts. A lot of the people that came and spoke, they were further victimized.
And I have it on video.
They were not resolved. The issues were not resolved. There was no follow-up. There was no follow-through.
Nothing, completely nothing
You
was done.
further victimized us. So my thing is, all the places where we should be able to go, we're not really getting the help. I'm not saying EOC, Division of Civil Rights, all those people are in correspondence. They are responding back, some of them. I am saying that, again, a lot of the people that are being harmed and victimized are Black women. And I remember Malcolm and Tupac speaking to this. They're
Really.
like, look, if y'all don't look out for your queens, how the hell can you have a nation?
Wow.
And every time
That's
we go up
why.
and
New
speak,
woman.
every time we go out and fight and speak up, we look around, there's nobody standing up for us. And it gets to be tiring. Like at my age, one of the consequences from this fighting back and forth with the district, my whole body was becoming paralyzed. Literally, I was walking like a mummy from the crypt.
Wow.
I had to take my doctor insisted that I take time off way back in April. I couldn't take it because I didn't have any more sick days, right? So when I took it, I'm telling you now, I'm starting to walk again. My whole body was paralyzed from the stress, the
Mm-hmm.
aggravation, and the
Mm-hmm.
physical hardship. And it didn't
Mm-hmm.
make no sense that I should be going through this and living like this.
Yeah, that's deep, man.
Right.
Um,
I was actually reprimanded for using my sick days, and I did reach out to a board member, and they said, "Well, what are you reprimand? What are you getting reprimanded for? Your sick days are your sick days. You have them to use." I said, "Well, that's what they got." I went on. They give you the runaround, and it gets to be frustrating. I got patience till I don't have patience, and then it turns into something else. And I just try not to allow myself to get that way. But sometimes it's hard. It's hard. Like I just want to back up a little bit. Like when you
Right.
asked us what elected officials out here that we have went to, like I told you, Gilmore did assist me,
No doubt.
but we also we spoke to the NAACP, Charles Maynard, and he even had us on the phone, like a group of us with an attorney,
Right.
only for him to get on there to say, "Oh, I don't hear where there's no race, oh no discrimination or something." I got off the line.
Really?
Yes, I did. I got off the line. I don't want to. How are you a black man? You not? Are you not listening to what these people saying?
Mm.
But even if
A
because
deaf person could have heard what they were saying was discrimination and retaliation.
but
He
listen,
wasn't hearing that, so I got off the line.
Right.
Then we had a meeting. Cheryl and I, Jalandra, and some other people with Cheryl's pastor and Joyce Waterman, and she conducted herself in a manner. Cheryl pastor is very. He's like 90 years old,
Right.
Reverend
an
Dorothy,
elder. He's an
I remember
elder,
Dorothy. Yeah.
and he's a civil rights activist.
Right.
So he deserves the utmost respect, as she would want
Absolutely.
too. But when he's in your presence, you can. To me, her demeanor, her behavior was a little bit off to me. I didn't agree with it because
Explain. What do you
you
mean?
sitting here
Explain.
getting in your feelings with a 90-year-old, a 90 that's man old enough to probably be your grandfather and mine too,
Yeah.
probably my great grandfather.
True.
But it's like these people only, Miss Waterman did. She gave us a number to an attorney. Cheryl asked for them to come stand with us. Maina, what'd he say? Oh, I don't like to show my hand. I don't like to show my hand.
Wow.
Waterman, when
No
Cheryl
show.
did call her one time, she said, "Oh, just let her know she would come and she would stand." But no, nobody never did. Like I said, I spoke to recently last month. I spoke to Miss McKnight, Senator McKnight. She called me because
Yo,
I said something
mhm.
and it triggered her, and she called me, and she said, "Well, I'm helping or whatever this that there." To this day, as of today's date, I'm still on pause. I still haven't heard from her.
Now,
We still haven't heard from her. So it's like nobody is really trying to assist. They just make it look.
I
They
think
try to
it's
make
I
it
because,
look
lost you
good,
guys
like
just a
and
we
little bit.
I personally think it's because we're black. Now,
like
I will say that.
Gilmore. I will say
they're afraid.
Gilmore did assist
They're afraid
to the capacity of every level that he
what he could
possibly
do.
could assist.
Yeah, and I give credit to
I
Education
will give
Gilmore
that
too.
man the utmost respect.
He does
He
try to
assisted.
figure out how he can assist and give you the information. He don't give you a runaround.
No, he sure
No
did not. And
runaround.
he was calling me back, like, where we at with this? What are we doing with this? Yes, he did. I will give Gilmore his props and his accolades today because he deserves them. He's a stand-up guy.
Yes.
And Dave,
No doubt.
uh,
Shout out to Gilmore. No doubt. All right, go ahead. Go ahead, Yolanda. I'm sorry.
now I I have been gone from the board for 2 years, right? Before I left, I was on administrative leave for a year and 3 months. I had 80 sick days in my pocket, and they refused to pay me for those sick days. They haven't paid me yet. It's 2 years later. Then I went to another job, and when I went to go get my unemployment, they told me I couldn't get unemployment because there was a scandal in the board with the unemployment, and it took me 9 months to get my unemployment because of whatever the unemployment, because they said that I had got unemployment before and I wasn't supposed to because I'm a 10 unemployed. So I didn't get the unemployment. I haven't gotten my sick days yet. They only pay me for my service day. And then they tried to say I resigned. Then they said I retired. Then they said I was removed. I got every situation. But on the board thing, it says I have resigned. And that was the correct way. But they have not paid me for my sick days yet.
And that scandal that she's speaking to, that's what I explained to you earlier. As long as the district gets to say whether or not they're going to pay out on people's unemployment, then they get to play and manipulate whether or not somebody should have it. Where the state would entitle you to the unemployment, the district gets to write some crap about, oh, they are whatever that word was that Keisha used. They are like they work all year long, or they are
Right.
whatever.
The
They
per
come up with
diem.
those. No, not for them. The one where they say that you keep working, like you're on the pay, or you're
Oh,
on the book.
continuous employment.
Continuous employee. They
Language.
come up, they pass off language, and that's one thing this district is good for. This
Right.
district is good for giving language to something that they do not represent. That's why another reason I say they like Trump. They lie. They'll say that.
I remember you saying something about they were always trying to get you locked up. And what do you think that reason is? When you were in some of the meetings, the board meetings, they was always trying to get you locked up.
They always trying to get me locked up because they're always trying to push and see how far they can go and what they can
Put
get away
fear.
with. And
Put fear.
Dejan Morris was a character, right? So he was one of the main ones. And it was May of 2024, I believe it was. I came to the audit. They had the auditors there, right? I love these auditors meetings because the auditors, they give us real facts, right? So I'm listening, and we waiting for our opportunity to speak for the 3 minutes or ask the one question. We waiting for this. Dejan Morris decides, we don't want anybody in here during the time we're questioning the auditor. So somebody in the audience says something like, I'm running for the board. Dejan gets upset because somebody spoke out loud, God forbid, and says, clear the room, clear the room. We want everybody out. I said, I'm not leaving. I came here to be a part of this public meeting. And why would I be leaving because somebody spoke up? I think they should be able to speak out loud. He said, you're going to leave because we said such and such. And then they read off their so-called preamble and all of the BS language they put in that like it's a law, like it's a New Jersey statute. No, it's a bunch of words y'all put down to cover y'all
Wow.
shenanigans. But
Right.
I refused to leave. And he pushed so hard. He pushed so hard for the police officer, like, and the police officer, like, please, man, please come on. I don't want to have to arrest you. This doesn't make any kind of sense, blah, blah, blah. And I'm saying to him, dude, I know it don't make sense. That's why I'm saying I don't care. But rather than force the police officer to arrest me, I say to the police officer, all right, this is going nowhere. I'm going to allow you to walk me out, put my hands behind my back, right? Make it look like you're arresting me. Me and the officer had that as an agreement. That's how he took me out. Dejan up front bragging on the microphone, and just so y'all
Yes.
know, she was taken out under arrest. I was never
Wow.
arrested, okay?
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and for that, I'm gonna have to give kudos because even like Cheryl or somebody else said earlier, the police know that some of the stuff these administrators try to get away with is over the top. And so
Mm-hmm.
when they are at these meetings, they do try to be understanding and respectful of us, the public, and try to work with us as far as not having to, do something really outlandish. But Dejan Morris he was a police officer at the time, and he
Right.
used to love to let us know that he was a police officer. I said, dude, when you're here, you're not police officer Dejan Morris. You're board trustee Dejan Morris, and even that's questionable,
Right.
But you definitely are not a police officer.
And now
So
you're not a police officer.
and now you're not a police officer, but I
And
want to
now-
I want to follow that story up. So in May they tried to get me arrested. You know what they did in June?
Right.
They called me out at a meeting and said that I need to be psychiatrically evaluated.
yes.
Why do I need to
Wow.
be evaluated? Why didn't somebody call me
Wow.
into a supervisor's office, a department head's office, have a conversation with me, make a recommendation? They did none of that. And him and the superintendent went back and forth trying to talk about my mental state as if they knew who I was. And all
Yep.
of it was about, because this is what they said in their statement. Something must be wrong with her because she don't listen at board meetings. When people tell her to do stuff, she don't do what she's told. I'm not a damn slave. I'm not an animal. I don't work for snacks. Even though my pay Sometimes my pay look like I only work for
Freaking
snacks, but
snacks.
you don't get to dog and pony me. But
Wow,
that
that
was
was
their
a good one.
conversation in June
That
20.
was a good one.
That was their conversation June 2024, and that's the kind of stuff they tried to do.
Right.
And they tried to
Wow.
get Cheryl arrested after that, and I told Cheryl, we can't take no chances with this here stupid ass administration anymore. So let's not go.
How they trying to get you arrested, Cheryl? And we're gonna go, with Jolanda in a minute.
Oh,
Far as
okay.
intimidating you.
Well,
Go ahead, Cheryl.
all when I was speaking at the it was a special meeting, and I was speaking on the sick days and how they were violating the mandate. Dejan was smirking and laughing. And after I got done, before I left the mic, I said, Mr. Morris, nothing's funny. You need to stop with that smirk on your face. That's what I said. And as I walked off, he's still smiling and smirking. I said, yeah, nothing's funny. So Velasquez is going to say, there would be no disrespect of trustees. Now he's the disrespectful one because I'm standing up there and I'm voting. I'm the public and I voted not for him, but I voted. So this is a public meeting. So I'm voicing what you're doing wrong. That's what I'm speaking about. And you're laughing. And she got upset and she said, "Well, there are two exits. Pick one." So I said, maybe, the mic picks up everything. I said, I bet I won't. I bet I won't. But I guess she heard me. So that's when next thing I
The
know.
mic was hot. The mic was hot. The mic was hot.
Yeah. So I said, yeah. So then next thing I know, Rudell Snelling, the director, comes over to me. I'm calling the cops. I think he was faking it though, right? So then their lawyer, Rivera, says, oh, you want both of them out talking about Miss Perry? Miss Perry ain't even say nothing. So Miss Perry did call out
Wow.
how Dejan was still sitting there. So he did this to me, David, pointing to the door.
He was taunting. He was taunting her.
He was taunting me. He was taunting me. But I don't know if I'm staticky. Am I staticky?
Wow. That's good. No, you good. You good. It's a little bit, but you good.
Okay.
All right. So, Jalandra, how do you feel they was? How do you feel they was intimidating you, Jalandra, or trying to?
Jalandra, you there?
Jalandra, you there? Nope. I think she not. Okay, she bounced. Okay,
She
so
didn't bounce, but
let me ask you guys this question. Before we end this conversation, what are you looking for? What is the outcome that you're looking for? Far as the legal process, what are you hoping for?
I I've come to the conclusion. I've come to the conclusion over this two years plus process that I'm not going to receive justice in this matter. I may receive some
Mhm.
compensation for something and what have you.
Mhm.
Justice to me looks like they change the practices. They start doing things that they're supposed to do the way they're supposed to do it. That's not going to happen, no matter what they do with me, because these practices are ingrained in this district. Like they literally have been violating. And the funny thing is, when you go down to human resources, they have a lot of posters of what the state and federal laws are. Like time and a half,
Right.
that's posted down there. I took a picture of it. But they know the things they're supposed to do, they just don't do it. So I don't see any justice coming out of that, but that is what I got involved for because I thought there would be some justice as the outcome. It's not yet.
Got it. Okay. Same question for you. Same question for you.
Talking to me?
You there, Keisha? Yeah. Same question for
I
you,
thought my
Keisha.
mic was muted. Oh,
No.
what I want to see Ask Me held accountable. I, there's some things that's in place, and I just pray upon it. I'm just waiting for God to show up and show out. I
No doubt.
took the necessary steps to do what needed to be done, and now I just have to sit back and wait. And when you got to sit back and wait and let God do what He do, it shall be done.
No doubt.
I
Same
want them to
question
be
for
held
you.
accountable, though. I want everybody that's involved to be held accountable.
Okay. Same question for
Yes,
you,
I
Cheryl.
want them to be held accountable, and I do want justice because what was done to me was wrong on so many levels. I did nothing wrong. All I wanted to do was work for the people. So hopefully, I can find a lawyer. I really haven't been diligently searching for one, but I did reach out to when you asked about the elected officials. I reached out to Senator Congresswoman McIver's office. I didn't say her name. Nothing. And now I'm waiting for Cory
Mhm.
Booker and his team to get back to me. Because I don't want to hear that they don't have jurisdiction. That doesn't matter to me, whether they have jurisdiction. The people are being wronged. And when you campaign for job security and all these other things. And right now we're suffering. We have a union that doesn't work for us. So they should be concerned with that. Angela McKnight, Waterman, they should be concerned because although they don't have jurisdiction over the school district, this their city. So they should be concerned as to whether or not the people in this city are being taken advantage of financially and being hurt financially because it's going to affect our children. But I want to say one more thing before I
Right.
leave. I hope that if there's anybody out there that has any advice and that wants to join us, I'm hoping that they will join us so we can have some real impact. But I want to say one more thing to the
No doubt.
parents that have children out there. Please get involved because here's the deal when they talk about parental involvement, they really don't want it. They really hope you don't show up so that they could justify,
Right.
right, not taking care of your children. Because, like, when I was
Wow.
at 34 school, in the end, what happened was one day I was home with my son. I got a phone call from Edna Williams saying, asking me, was I outside with a petition to get rid of the principal of 34th school? I said, I'm home free. My son has asthma, so he wasn't feeling well. She said, because somebody said a short, dark skinned lady is out here with a petition. I said, well, I'm not the only short, dark skinned woman in the world. And do you know that a month after that, they handed me a transfer for my son to move him out of 34
Wow.
school? And I said, I know what this is, but my son is very shy. And they wanted to send him to 20 school. And I said, I'm not gonna fight it because maybe he'll do better because he don't like crowds. He's an introvert. So I let him go to 20 school and he did well in 20 school. But this is what they did. They retaliated against my son because I was vocal in the parent teachers union. Well, you know that. And I'm sorry, the parent council. So they don't really want you, Jersey City, to understand. They don't really want you to come out, so you have to come out because just like they're doing us
Right.
a disservice, trust they're doing your children a disservice. Because if they cared about your children, they would pay us because it does something to your morale when you don't get paid. So I would say, David, I'm disheartened
Right.
by this. I'm disheartened. I am.
Okay.
And I'm disheartened by the lack of help from our city officials.
No doubt. Jalandra, oh, she just left. I think something was going on with her phone.
Uh,
She's back. But Jalandra, can you
yes.
hear me? Okay, good. What would you like to happen or hope for far as what was going on with you guys? What are you looking for to
I'm looking
happen?
for the scale of justice to be balanced. I'm looking for these parents, and like I said, it's a three-tier: the parent, the student, then the teachers. They got it backwards. So I'm looking for justice. I'm looking for the future kids not have to go through this, or the future parents not have to go through this, because this has been going on far too long. And
No
something
doubt.
needs to be done, and they need to stop. And I need that scale of justice to be balanced, because it's not fair to the children or the parents or the taxpayers for them
No
to
doubt.
have their money being used against them, and everything's being retaliated against them. So I need that scale to get balanced. I need God to come in and justify and do what he do to the people that do his people wrong.
And can I just add
No
one last
doubt.
thing,
Well, I
David?
appreciate you guys. Yeah,
David,
yeah, go
may
ahead.
I add? Okay.
Make it quick. We're about to close
All
out
right.
now.
So I'm
Go
speaking
ahead.
to this because of what Cheryl brought up, and because a lot of times people think that we don't have the children's interests at heart. We do have the children's interests at heart. When Cheryl was saying I had a group, it was called Parents in Action. And my conversation during Parents in Action was explaining Abbott. And Abbott is a New Jersey state law. And it was a case that was won in court. And in that case, they said, you have maybe unbeknownst to the school districts, but they had not properly educated the children since Brown versus Board of Ed up into the time of that award, which came out in the 80s sometime, right? Now, the district has been getting hundreds of millions of dollars more in federal and state funds in state funds because of the Abbott law. What is happening with that money? Parents need to be concerned about that. There is no way that you have $1 million budget, but your children have less hard books than we had back in the day. Your children have overcrowded classrooms. Your children have they have taken out all of the vocational trades out of the schools. No carpentry, no cooking, no this and that. You get more money and you give less services. Parents need to be involved if on that reason, if for no other reason. So I encourage parent involvement. My advocacy stood on parental involvement. Thank you.
I
Well,
encourage
wow, that's what's up.
local
Well, I appreciate you
2262
guys
members to get
being
involved as well.
no doubt. Well, I appreciate you guys being transparent and bringing this story to the forefront. Much love to you guys. You know, what we heard was just today is more than just the story, but, union politics, basically. You know what I mean? It's about leadership, accountability, and a fight for fairness within Jersey City, public schools, and all that good stuff. So, and, this conversation is far from over. So, y'all stay connected. We may be a part
Yes.
two. You know what I
Thank
mean? Because I want to basically see if something come from this, especially, being that y'all did this today and y'all been fighting for a while behind the scenes. You know what I mean? So for y'all to come outwardly and want to go live and want to talk about it on social media, that it means a lot to you guys. You know what I mean? So I can tell that. So I thank you guys for watching. For those who chimed in, very much appreciate it. Do me a favor, like, share the page, subscribe on David Adams Podcast. So I thank you again once for watching. Let me know what y'all think about, this situation. Those who are watching now, or if you watch later, just put it on the comment board. All right.
David, thank
Thank you. Much love
you.
and respect.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
Thank
giving
you,
us an
David.
David.
opportunity
Thank
to get this out there.
We appreciate you
We
so much.
appreciate
Thank
it.
And
you.
Thank
David, if
You're
you.
there's
welcome.
anybody that
Much.
reach out to you, a lawyer, anybody that wants to, get involved and take this head on, because it's a lot, welcome it.
Yeah.
Thank
Yep. No doubt. Thank you. Much love. Peace and blessings. Y'all been back.
Yeah.
Peace.